I'm not quite sure where to start. My name is Michael, and I have shared a beautiful journey with Laura for 37 years. We've shared countless moments, nurturing our 2 children, crafting our life together, and navigating the challenges that life has presented us. I have always felt that our marriage was a strong foundation, woven together with trust and deep affection. Last night, that conviction shattered into 1,000 pieces. The evening unfolded like a familiar melody. I returned home from work around 6, just as I often do. Laura moved gracefully in the kitchen, her hands skillfully crafting a meal as the warm aromas filled the air. The inviting scent of her beloved chicken casserole enveloped the home. Everything appeared as it should, yet an unspoken tension lingered in the air. She was wrapped in a serene silence, her smile holding a hint of something unspoken, and her hands quivered gently as she placed the plates on the table. Initially, I attributed it to fatigue or the weight of my worries, yet within me, a quiet awareness stirred, hinting that something was amiss. We sat down to eat, and the silence enveloped us, thick with unspoken words. Laura's fork danced lightly over her plate, the food remaining largely untouched, as if it were a task she could not summon the energy to engage with. I attempted to engage in light conversation, yet her replies felt brief and somewhat detached. At last, I reached a point where I could no longer hold back. "Laura, are you feeling all right? You've been so still all evening," I remarked, attempting to keep my tone light, even as my heart raced with anticipation. She paused, her fork suspended in the air, caught in a delicate moment of hesitation. Then, she gently placed it down and raised her gaze to meet mine. Her face held a delicate pallor, and her lips quivered softly. "Michael," she began, her voice trembling with emotion, "I have a secret to share with you, something I've kept close to my heart for far too long." Those words enveloped me, leaving a profound impact that resonated deep within. My hunger faded away, leaving behind a heavy sensation deep within me. What could it be? I inquired softly, my voice a gentle murmur. She inhaled slowly, her fingers gripping the table's edge, as if it were the sole anchor in a world that felt unsteady. "I don't even know where to begin," she murmured, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I leaned in closer, feeling the warmth of my palms against my skin. "Just speak your truth, Laura," I implored. "Whatever it may be, please share it with me." Her gaze met mine, and in that instant, I could sense the burden of her unspoken words pressing down on her. She took a deep breath, allowing the moment to linger before she spoke. "Before we exchanged vows, there was another," she confessed, her voice quivering with emotion. "A person who held a special place in my heart. He was known as David." The name lingered in the space between us, a haunting presence that stirred something deep within. A wave of tension washed over me, yet I willed myself to remain composed. "Each person carries their own history," I reminded myself. "This didn't need to be so significant." "All right," I spoke softly, and she paused, her eyes drifting down to the table. "Michael, there are parts of my past that I haven't shared with you. David and I shared a deep connection. Before our paths crossed, I believed he was the one destined to hold my heart forever. A wave of longing washed over me, yet I chose to set it aside. Feels like ages since then," I remarked softly. "For 37 beautiful years, we've shared this journey together, Laura. What prompts this conversation at this moment?" Her hands quivered softly, and she formed them into fists, seeking a moment of calm within the storm of her emotions. "Because he's back," she murmured, her voice soft and filled with unspoken feelings. My gaze lingered on her, and I felt my heart flutter in response. "What do you mean, he has returned? He reached out to me?" she confessed, her cheeks glistening with the warmth of her emotions. "A few months back, he discovered me online and made the first move to connect. He expressed a longing for resolution, yearning for a conversation. A wave of emotion washed over me, leaving me breathless and vulnerable. "And did you share your thoughts with him?" I inquired, my voice softening with intensity. She nodded, her gaze drifting elsewhere. Uncertainty enveloped me, leaving me at a loss for direction. I imagined it would be a single exchange, yet it turned into so much more. Our conversations have deepened, and our encounters have become more meaningful. The thought of a meeting sent a flutter of unease through me. Meeting? I murmured again, my voice laced with intensity. What does that signify, Laura? Are you suggesting that you've been spending time with him when I wasn't aware? No, she replied softly, her head shaking gently. It's different from what you might think. I promise, Michael. It's only been shared meals and heartfelt talks. I sought clarity to embrace a sense of resolution. With a sudden intensity, I declared my need for closure. After 37 years of marriage, is it time to seek a sense of resolution with someone else? What do you think of me, Laura? What do we share between us? She crumbled, tears flowing as she buried her face in her hands. I never intended for things to unfold like this. I find myself burdened by this lingering guilt that has weighed on my heart for far too long. I believed I could hide it away, but when he returned, all those feelings came flooding back. I found myself at a loss for words, unsure of how to express what I felt. I leaned back in my chair, a swirl of thoughts enveloping me. How could she hide something like this from me for such an extended time? What was it about this moment, after all this time, that prompted her to finally speak of it? Were you unsure of how to share your feelings with me? I spoke with a hint of sorrow. Perhaps you could have begun with honesty, Laura, before we reached this moment. She brushed away her tears, her voice quivering as she pleaded. You have every right to be upset. But please, Michael, don't close me off. My heart has always belonged to you. I simply need you to feel what I'm trying to convey. I rose, the sound of my chair gliding across the floor echoing softly in the air. Text, I need some air, I murmured, slipping into my coat with a sense of urgency. Michael, wait, she called after me. But I had already stepped outside, the chill of the night wrapping around me like an unexpected embrace. As I wandered softly along the street, the weight of her words enveloped me. Laura, my beloved wife of 37 years, had been concealing a part of herself from me all this time, and now that part had emerged, casting a shadow over the life we had lovingly crafted together. I found myself adrift, uncertain of my destination, yet one truth resonated deeply within me. Everything would change from this moment onward. The crisp air caressed my skin as I meandered through the serene streets, lost in thought. The world enveloped me in a dreamlike haze, as if I had wandered into a reality that belonged to another soul. My mind was a whirlwind, and with every breath, I felt a gentle pressure in my chest. Laura's words lingered in my thoughts, wrapping around my heart like a gentle embrace. I've been sharing moments and connecting with him. I paused at the corner of the park, a place filled with memories of laughter and joy when we would bring the kids during their childhood. The swings swayed gently in the wind, a poignant echo of the love we once shared. How could all that we experienced together now seem so fragile, as if it were constructed on shifting sands? The gentle vibration of my phone stirred me from my reverie. A message arrived from Laura. Michael, I long for your presence. There are things I must share with you. We need to have a conversation. I truly apologize. I gazed at the screen, my thumb lingering just above the reply button. Yet what words could I find? That I was open to hear? That I placed my trust in her? Neither of those things held any truth. I slipped the phone back into my pocket and continued my walk, the heaviness of her revelation lingering in the air around me. In time, I discovered a quaint diner nestled at the outskirts of town. The neon sign pulsed gently as I opened the door, the rich aroma of coffee and savory dishes enveloping me like a warm embrace. I settled into a cozy booth at the back, seeking to collect my swirling thoughts. The waitress approached, her bright smile a vivid contrast to the tempest swirling within me. Shall we share a cup of coffee? She inquired softly. Yeah, I whispered, my voice soft and barely there. As she turned to leave, my mind lingered on the expression that graced Laura's face when she revealed her truth. The weight of remorse, the shadow of anxiety, the flow of sorrow. She was undeniably suffering, yet I felt the weight of that anguish as well. For 37 years, I had placed my unwavering trust in her. And now that bond was broken. As the coffee was placed before me, I found myself gazing into the rich, dark liquid, seeking clarity amidst the swirling thoughts within. What had drawn her to him initially? What was she trying to convey with the idea of closure? How could she hold on to something so significant for me all these years? The deeper I delved into my thoughts, the more intense my emotions swelled within me. Laura had removed my freedom to choose. She had chosen, in her own way, that this was a mystery I was not meant to uncover. And now, after all this time, she hoped I would simply grasp her feelings, to find it in my heart to forgive her. The passage of time slipped away from me, only to be gently interrupted by the return of the waitress. "Would you like a refill?" she inquired, cradling the coffee pot gently. "No, thank you," I replied softly, gliding out of the booth and leaving a few bills on the table. I had to confront Laura, to listen to her, even if it brought pain. Upon arriving home, the house enveloped me in shadows, save for the gentle illumination of a lamp in the living room. Laura sat on the couch, her complexion delicate and her expression filled with unspoken emotions. As I entered the room, her gaze met mine, her eyes glistening with the remnants of tears. "Michael," she whispered, rising gracefully. I raised my hand, pausing her in her tracks. "Take a seat," I urged, my tone steady yet gentle. "You've expressed a desire to share your thoughts. This is your moment. Share all your thoughts with me." From the very start, she nodded, her hands quivering softly as she settled back into her seat. "I find myself at a loss for words," she murmured gently. "Begin with the reason," I suggested, gazing into her eyes as we sat together. "What prompted you to connect with him? What is it about this moment?" She inhaled slowly, her fingers gently caressing the hem of her sweater. "He discovered me," she whispered. "A few months back, I received a message from him on social media. He expressed a desire for resolution, a longing to make amends for how he departed all those years ago. I found myself at a loss, uncertain of the path ahead. Though I hesitated to reply, an undeniable urge compelled me to do so. I had to," I murmured, my voice tinged with intensity. "What is the reason behind this? For 37 beautiful years you have been my partner, Laura. What could he possibly express that holds any significance now?" She hesitated at my tone but continued with determination. "It was never about him. It was always about my own journey. I came to understand that I had been bearing this burden for an eternity. Michael, the weight of guilt and shame has been slowly consuming my thoughts. I believed that by speaking with him, by seeking some kind of resolution, I would be able to release the weight I've been carrying." "And did you?" I inquired with a hint of sorrow. "Did you discover your sense of closure?" Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. She confessed softly. "It only deepened the turmoil. Encountering him once more, engaging in conversation, stirred up all the feelings I believed I had laid to rest. In that moment, I understood that I could not take another step without sharing my deepest truth with you." I reclined in my chair, a quiet storm of emotions brewing just beneath the surface. "So, you've been spending time with him? What does that signify, Laura? Meals shared, moments savored, what else awaits?" "Only lunches," she replied softly. "In shared spaces, I promise, nothing out of line." I found myself yearning to see him, to find closure with what once was. I released a soft, bittersweet laugh. "Did you find it essential to embrace the echoes of what once was? What do you think of me, Laura? What about the man who has shared your journey for nearly 4 decades? Have you considered the impact this might have on my heart?" She spoke softly, her voice trembling as she revealed, "I thought about it every day. Yet there was a fear within me, Michael. Afraid of your response. Afraid of the thought of letting you go. I never intended to cause you pain." "Well, congratulations," I said, my voice laced with a bittersweet undertone. "You have truly accomplished that with grace." She crumbled, tears flowing softly as she buried her face in her hands. I longed to embrace her with warmth and understanding, yet I found myself unable to do so. The sense of betrayal lingered, the ache profound. For an extended moment, The only sound that filled the room was the soft echo of her tears. At last, she raised her gaze to meet mine, her cheeks glistening with the remnants of her sorrow. "I'm not sure how to mend this," she whispered gently, "but I truly desire to. Michael, I long to hear your guidance." I gently shook my head, rising to my feet. "I'm afraid I can't provide you with an answer, Laura. At this moment, your essence feels like a mystery to me." I ascended the stairs to the guest room, leaving her nestled on the couch below. As I gently shut the door, a wave of realization washed over me. The familiar world I once knew had slipped away, leaving me in a space of uncertainty about what lay ahead. The stillness in the guest room wrapped around me like a heavy blanket. I reclined on the bed, gazing at the ceiling, my thoughts swirling around every word Laura had shared. The revelation, the hidden truths, the rationalizations. It all unfolded like a haunting dance, leaving me feeling utterly helpless to intervene. For 37 years, I held on to the belief that we were inseparable, that through everything we were a united front, and now I found myself feeling like an outsider in my own marriage. Sleep eluded me throughout the night. Each time I shut my eyes, Laura appeared before me, her complexion ghostly, her hands quivering as she revealed her secret. She spoke of another man, her first love, the one she once envisioned as her destiny. It stung to realize she had chosen to keep this from me, believing she held the power to choose when I would learn the truth. As dawn broke, my mind remained a whirlwind of unquiet reflections. They had transformed into a tempest within me, one I couldn't calm. As I made my way down the stairs, I found Laura already awake, seated at the kitchen table, cradling a warm cup of coffee in her hands. The shadows beneath her eyes revealed a shared restlessness, a silent understanding of sleepless nights. Her gaze lifted the instant she sensed my presence. "Michael," she murmured softly, "can we share a moment together?" I let out a soft sigh as I poured myself a cup of coffee, taking a moment before settling into the chair across from her. "Text. I find myself at a loss for words, Laura," I confessed softly. "I'm uncertain about how to begin." She took a deep breath, her fingers tightening around the warm mug. "I understand that you may not be feeling all right. I understand if forgiveness feels distant at this moment, but I long to know what thoughts are swirling in your mind. I yearn to understand." I released a soft, bittersweet laugh. I echoed my thoughts softly. I find myself reflecting on the 37 years I've spent with a woman who has held certain truths close to her heart, hidden from my view. I sense that you've been navigating the choices regarding our marriage on your own, and I'm pondering whether I can ever gaze upon you in quite the same light again. Her expression faltered, and for an instant, a wave of remorse washed over me. "Almost Michael," she breathed softly, "I love you. That has always remained the same. I ask you to trust me." I gently shook my head, a soft sigh escaping my lips. "Love transcends mere words, Laura. Love is a deep connection built on trust. Love is a deep connection of truth. Love embodies a deep sense of respect. You chose not to honor our connection by sharing the truth with me. Instead, you chose to conceal it, allowing it to unravel in a moment of unexpected intensity." She brushed away her tears, her hands trembling softly. She confessed her fear, a vulnerability that lingered in the air, filled with a deep sense of unease at the thought of you walking away, of seeing me through a changed lens. I released a soft, mirthless laugh. "And what, did you believe that hiding it from me would stop that from unfolding? In this moment, my perception of you has shifted profoundly." Her breath caught in her throat, yet she remained silent. Perhaps it was because she sensed the truth in my words. For what felt like an eternity, silence enveloped us. The kitchen was enveloped in a soft stillness, the gentle ticking of the clock on the wall the only reminder of time passing. At last, I shattered the stillness. "Tell me one thing, Laura," I said, gazing deeply into her eyes. If the situation were turned around, if I had been quietly reconnecting with a woman from my past, sharing thoughts and feelings I hadn't expressed to you, finding solace in my old scars, would you be able to sit here and say it was merely about finding closure? Her expression became a serene canvas, untouched and tranquil. I noticed the way her fingers curled around the coffee mug, the subtle shift in her breath. After a lingering silence, she finally confessed, "No, I find myself unable to." I nodded, a soft acknowledgement of a truth that lingered in the air, familiar and warm. "Then you see the depths of my feelings, the uncertainty that holds me back from taking the next step." She released a breath, trembling slightly. "Do you wish for me to step away for a few days? Shall I offer you a moment to breathe?" I felt a deep yearning to say yes, to invite her to gather her things and allow me the space to reflect. Yet, the mere idea of returning to a vacant home, acutely aware that she was elsewhere, stirred a deep unease within me. "No," I said at last. "Your presence is something I cherish deeply, yet I find myself struggling to mask the turmoil within me. Everything feels far from all right." She nodded gently, brushing her fingers across her cheek. "I see your point, but did she truly grasp it? Could she truly grasp the sensation of having everything you know transformed in an instant?" I set my cup down and rose to my feet. "Give me a moment, Laura. I find myself contemplating the path that lies ahead for us." She simply nodded, a silent agreement passing between them. Her expression was imbued with a deep sorrow that left me at a loss for words. As I turned to leave, a realization washed over me. For the first time in 37 years, uncertainty clouded the future of our marriage. And the most painful truth was that she felt the same way. The days that followed seemed to envelop me in a soft haze. I moved through the moments, feeling each one pass by. I awoke, embraced the warmth of the shower, brewed a cup of coffee, and glanced at the news, yet everything seemed to drift away, as if I were a spectator in someone else's existence. Laura and I exchanged few words. We shared the same space, yet we felt like distant souls. In our conversations, we touched upon the everyday matters, whether I had enjoyed a meal, if the bills were settled, and if our pantry needed replenishing. Yet the true dialogue, the one that lingered in the air between us like a silent tempest, remained unvoiced. At times, I noticed her gaze lingering on me, as if she were anticipating my words, longing for a connection, any connection, that would offer her a glimpse into the depths of our connection. Yet I found myself with nothing to offer her. I found myself in a constant state of weariness, yet sleep eluded me. With each gentle flutter of my eyelids, her image lingered, poised elegantly across from him. What was the essence of their conversation? Did she share that same lightness in her laughter with him as she did with me? Did she share secrets with him that remained unspoken between us? The mere idea sent a ripple of unease through me. By the third night, the stillness had grown overwhelming. After dinner, another meal shared in quietude, I finally let my feelings surface. "Do you wish things had been different?" I inquired, gently placing my fork aside. Laura glanced upward, her heart racing in surprise. "What is there to feel regret about?" Our gazes intertwined, my face a canvas of mystery. Encountering him, engaging in conversation with him. "Do you wish things had been different?" She paused, and that moment of uncertainty pierced my heart like a sharp blade. "I truly regret the pain I've caused you," she finally admitted. "I feel a deep sense of remorse for the way I approached it." But she lingered in silence, her thoughts dancing just out of reach. I embraced the journey of confronting that chapter of my life. I felt compelled to. I released a soft breath, gently shaking my head. "That's not the response I was hoping for." She recoiled slightly, sliding her plate aside as though a wave of disinterest had washed over her. "Michael, I can no longer hide my truth from you. Though I cannot change the past, I want you to know that you hold a special place in my heart and are my vision for what lies ahead. You have always been that way." I reclined in my chair, observing her with a deep sense of intrigue. "Your words resonate, yet I find myself questioning their truth. How can I be certain that, if he reaches out again, you won't find yourself drawn to confront your past once more?" Her complexion faded. "He simply won't." I chose to let it go. I expressed to him that our conversations had to come to an end, that my husband is worthy of so much more. I yearned to trust her words. Oh, how I longed to trust her. Yet, Once trust is fractured, it becomes a delicate journey to mend. I'm uncertain if I can overcome this, Laura, I confessed. It's more than just your actions. It revolves around the decisions you embraced. You held a secret close, choosing the moment I would be let in on it. A marriage unfolds in a different way. Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. I understand, and it brings me a deep sense of regret. We lingered in the quiet, an unspoken understanding passing between us, aware that no words could mend what was broken. Michael, she whispered gently, do you still hold me in your heart? That question seemed like it should have flowed effortlessly into a response. Yet, in that fleeting instant, uncertainty washed over me. I rose from the table, my eyes avoiding hers, a wave of emotion washing over me. I crave a little more time. She nodded, gently brushing her fingers across her cheek. Yet, I could sense the vulnerability reflected in her gaze, the anxiety that moments might slip away too quickly. In all honesty, I found myself in the same uncertainty. Days flowed into a week. During that week, Laura and I found ourselves growing more distant, despite sharing the same space. The atmosphere surrounding us was thick with unspoken emotions. I attempted to immerse myself in work, in tasks, in anything that might distract me from the weight of her revelation. Yet, regardless of my efforts, those thoughts softly invaded my mind. In the stillness of the night, as the world outside faded away, I found myself gazing at the ceiling, lost in the memory of her gaze when she shared her secrets with me. How frightened she had felt, how shattered. I felt a deep desire to embrace anger. Anger surged within me, yet a different feeling began to intertwine with it, softly weaving its way into my heart. Heartache. I found myself grieving for something I hadn't fully acknowledged was gone. The deep trust one held in my wife. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow in the room, Laura finally found her voice after a day filled with unspoken thoughts. I miss you, she whispered softly. I lifted my gaze from the pages, a subtle tension forming in my jaw. I remain, don't I? She hesitated for a moment, then gave a subtle nod. In a way, yes, but not entirely. I gently closed the book, allowing its words to linger in my mind as I set it aside. What is it that you desire from me, Laura? Act as if everything remains unchanged? Act as if all is well? No, she murmured softly. I long to understand the depth of our connection, the space I occupy in relation to you. I brushed my fingers through my hair, letting out a soft sigh. I'm uncertain. I long to provide you with clarity, yet I find myself without the words. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, yet she held her gaze steady. Michael, if I had the chance to rewind time, I would do it in a heartbeat. Not due to my reluctance to confront my past, but because of the impact it had on us. I observed her, my feelings a complex weave of longing and connection. Did that thought not cross your mind earlier? She took a deep breath. I did, though not in the manner I truly intended. I reassured myself that it wouldn't cause you pain, believing it didn't alter the bond we share. Yet I found myself mistaken. A soft, bittersweet laugh slipped from my lips. Were you mistaken? That barely scratches the surface. Stillness. Then her voice filled the air once more. Do you still desire this union? That question resonated within me more deeply than I anticipated. I parted my lips to respond, yet silence enveloped me. Did I truly? Did I yearn to mend what was shattered? Or was I clinging to a memory that had slipped away? In a moment of vulnerability, I confessed, I don't know. I'm feeling a bit lost. Laura nodded slowly, a knowing look in her eyes, as if she had anticipated that response all along. Then I'll wait, she murmured gently. I will remain here patiently, for however long it may be. I felt compelled to express that holding on wouldn't mend what was broken. Some things, once shattered, remain beyond the reach of mending. Yet, I held my tongue, for within me lingered a doubt about whether I truly wished for her to cease her waiting. As the days unfolded, Laura and I shared the same space, yet an unbridgeable distance lingered between us in every other sense. Each exchange lingered briefly, and every gaze held a hint of hesitation. She lingered, her gaze inviting, as if my words held the power to shape the moment, to reveal the path we were destined to take. The challenge lay in my unfamiliarity with my own essence. One evening, I found myself on the porch, captivated by the sun's gentle descent beyond the horizon. The stillness once held a special place in my heart. Now it felt overwhelming. I sensed the door gently creak open behind me. Laura stepped outside, her heart fluttering with uncertainty. "May I join you here?" she inquired gently. I beckoned to the vacant chair next to me. "This space belongs to both of us." She settled into her seat, gently placing her hands together in her lap. "Michael, have you considered what your heart truly desires?" I released a gentle sigh. "You've been on my mind constantly, Laura." She gently bit her lip, and I gently brushed my fingers across my face. "I'm struggling to find a way to let go of this. I long to, yet each time my gaze meets yours, memories flood back. It leaves me pondering the depths of our existence, the essence of you that I truly understood." Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. "You understood me, Michael, the true essence of who I am, and the choices I made. It doesn't diminish the beautiful life we created side by side." I turned to face her, yet something shifts within me. It transforms my perspective. "Your choice encompassed us both. You chose to keep from me the truth of my own limitations. And that's what pierces the heart the deepest." She inhaled softly, brushing away the tears that glistened in her eyes. "Indeed, you have a point. I removed that decision from your hands, and I feel a deep sense of regret for it." I released a breath, feeling the weight of the moment linger in the air. "I wish for you to embrace yourself, Laura. I long to grasp the reasons behind it all. What made him so significant that you felt the urge to encounter him once more? What made you welcome him back into your world?" For just a fleeting moment, she paused, then softly breathed her words. "Because I feared that without confronting my past, I would remain forever bound by its shadows." I gently shook my head, a soft sigh escaping my lips. "Did it truly resonate? Are you experiencing a sense of liberation now?" She released a trembling sigh. She confessed softly, "Now, it feels as though I've lost the one thing that held the deepest significance, our connection." I remained silent, uncertain of her truth. That night, I found myself in bed, gazing at the ceiling as thoughts swirled through my mind. At some moment, I must have drifted into slumber, only to be stirred awake by a sudden sound. I sat up, my heart racing with anticipation. It was her, Laura. She was downstairs, tears streaming down her cheeks. For a moment, I simply lingered, absorbing the sounds around me. Then, despite my reservations, I rose and began my descent. She sat at the kitchen table, her delicate features hidden behind her hands. Her gaze lifted as she sensed my presence. "Michael," she murmured, her voice trembling, and a part of me shattered. For the first time since this all began, I found myself free from the presence of the woman who shattered my trust. I gazed at my wife, the one who had shared my journey for 37 years, the one who had brought our children into the world, who had shared in my laughter and my tears, who had crafted a life alongside me. She was the woman now filled with fear at the thought of losing me. I settled into my seat, gazing at her from across the table. "Laura," I whispered softly, "please tell me, do you still hold love for me?" Her gaze deepened. "Indeed," she replied with unwavering certainty. "With all my heart," I nodded slowly. "Together, we'll navigate this journey and find our way." She wept once more, but this time, her tears carried a weight beyond sorrow. They were infused with a glimmer of hope, and for the first time since this ordeal began, I sensed it as well. The morning after that conversation, an undeniable shift lingered in the air. The atmosphere remained heavy, yet it had transformed in subtle ways. For the first time in weeks, Laura and I weren't merely sidestepping one another. We were confronting something side by side, yet confronting it did not imply that it was resolved. As we shared breakfast, a quiet intimacy enveloped us, each sip of coffee deepening the unspoken connection between us. Typically, The quiet moments we shared were filled with a soothing warmth, but now they seemed delicate, as if a single misstep in our words could break apart the fragile connection we were striving to mend. At last, Laura placed her cup aside and turned her gaze toward me. What unfolds next? I released a soft breath, gently placing my cup down. I'm uncertain, Laura, yet I feel that for us to progress, I require sincerity. Let there be no more secrets, no more shielding me from reality. If there's something more, something you've held back, I long to hear it now. She took a deep breath, then gently shook her head. There is nothing more, Michael. That is all there is. I vow to you. I gazed at her face, seeking any hint of uncertainty. If she held on to a secret, this was the time to reveal it. Yet she maintained my gaze, steadfast and unyielding. I responded with a gentle nod. All right. She released a trembling sigh. All right, but that doesn't imply that all is well, I emphasized. Though the pain lingers, I hold on to the hope that we can mend what has been broken. And that begins with the understanding that only the truth remains between us. Tears shimmered in her eyes, yet she held back the urge to weep. She leaned over the table, a moment of uncertainty lingering in the air before her hand gently found its way to mine. I love you, Michael, she whispered, her voice unwavering, filled with a promise to dedicate her life to showing him just how deep her feelings ran. I remained close. I didn't return the pressure of her hand, yet I allowed it to linger in that moment. It was the beginning of something beautiful. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Laura proposed an idea that caught everyone off guard. Would you join me for a session of therapy? She inquired softly. I gazed at her, momentarily lost in the depths of her eyes. Healing journey. She inclined her head gently. I understand that we can't ignore this, and I realize that I can't resolve it by myself. However, perhaps with support we can discover a way to progress together. My heart fluttered with uncertainty. The idea of being in a space with someone unfamiliar, sharing the tangled web of feelings I hadn't yet come to terms with, was both daunting and stirring. But then I gazed at Laura, at the woman who was ready to battle for our union, even if it required confronting difficult realities. A soft sigh escaped my lips. Very well, I replied. Let us give it a go. Her smile was delicate, a whisper of warmth. Yet in her eyes, I glimpsed a flicker of something that had been absent for far too long: hope. And perhaps, just perhaps, I found myself feeling it as well. The initial therapy session felt a bit uncomfortable. I won't deny that it was. Seated in a serene office, facing a woman who was oblivious to our shared history, created an unusual sensation. Laura sat beside me, her hands gently clasped in her lap, a quiet intensity radiating from her presence. I anticipated a sense of discomfort. I anticipated a sense of protection around my heart. Yet, I found myself pleasantly surprised by its ability to bring comfort. The therapist remained neutral. She offered no justifications for Laura, nor did she dictate my emotions. Instead, she created an atmosphere that invited us to share, to express the feelings we had kept hidden within the walls of our home. And in that moment, I opened my heart to the whispers that surrounded me. Laura shared the weight of the guilt she had borne for years, how she had persuaded herself that turning away from the truth felt safer than confronting it. She shared with me how David's return stirred feelings within her that she had long kept hidden, emotions intertwined not with love, but with the echoes of unresolved hurt. And I shared with her the ache of betrayal that lingered within me, the uncertainty that had quietly woven itself into the fabric of our marriage like a haunting whisper. I confessed that I had contemplated leaving, that a part of me had questioned whether we were too fractured to mend. Yet, as we lingered in that intimate office, a shift occurred. It may not have been an immediate solution, yet it marked a meaningful progression. The weeks that followed brought their own challenges, yet they unfolded in a new light. Laura and I engaged in deeper conversations, exploring thoughts and feelings beyond mere small talk. We shared moments together, not as a couple masking the past, but as two souls deciding to mend what had been lost. One evening, as we lingered on the porch, gazing at the fading light of the sunset, she gently took my hand. I surrendered to her touch. "I realize I may not have earned it," she whispered, "but I truly appreciate your presence." I held her hand softly. I remained because I have faith in what we share. In that moment, her smile blossomed, genuine and warm, radiating a sense of comfort and connection. And for the first time in what felt like ages, I experienced it as well. As I observed Laura's laughter mingling with the joyful sounds of our grandchildren in the backyard, a profound realization washed over me. My feelings for her remained deep and unwavering. The love had transformed, no longer echoing the warmth of what once was. It had transformed, deepened, evolved into something more powerful. She had shattered my trust, yet she had also battled for me, for our connection, and I had decided to join the struggle as well. There was a moment when I believed this betrayal would shatter everything we had. Yet perhaps, just perhaps, it marked the dawn of something even more profound.